Welcome back to Easily Explained, where today we will be solving literal equations for a variable. So let's get started. A literal equation is an equation containing more than one variable. So let's look at some examples of literal equations. Many formulas that are commonly known are examples of literal equations. For example, right here we have the distance formula. Distance is equal to the rate times the time traveled. This would be an example of a literal equation because it is an equation containing more than one variable. So solving for literal equations for a variable is just a way to find what r equals or what t equals rather than the given d. If we were solving for the time and we were given the distance and the average rate, how would we solve? Using the same formula, let's solve for r. Solve for the rate. Alright, we have to try to isolate the variable r. And currently, we have distance equals rate multiplied by time. So that is multiplication. And we know that the opposite of multiplication is the division, which means that let's divide either side by t so that we can get rid of the t. Now we have d over t is equal to r. So if we ever wanted to solve for the average rate and we had the distance and time, we could use this formula. Distance divided by time equals rate. Let's go back to our normal formula, d equals rt. Alright, in the same way, now we just need to divide either side by r so that we get distance divided by rate is equal to time. Alright, let's look at another literal equation. We have m is equal to half k plus 15. Now let's solve for k. Alright, we need to isolate k, so we are going to subtract 15 on either side. So m minus 15, remember you can't further solve this because they aren't like terms, half k. And like I explained in the last video, half k is basically k over 2. Also, it's the same operation because half times k equals 1k over 2k over 2. Alright, so now we just need to get rid of the 2. So let's do the opposite operation and multiply. But now we have to remember to multiply it by each term. We're basically multiplying the entire term. So you could also write it as 2m minus 30 by doing distributive property is equal to k, or you could also just leave it as 2m minus 15 equals k. Either one would work. Alright, now let's do a word problem using literal equations. As a realtor, Jamie receives $800 a month, the variable m, plus $300 for every house H that she sells. So let's write a literal equation first. Alright, her salary, S, is equal to $800, 800m, because she gets 800 every month, plus she gets $300 for every house that she sells. Alright, so now we have our literal equation. Now let's solve for m. The first thing we want to do is get rid of the 300h. So her salary minus 300 times all of the houses she's sold is equal to $800 times the number of months. Alright, now we can get rid of the 800 by dividing on either side. Alright, so we can either write it just as it's written right here. Or we can also make it each individual term. So s over 800 minus 300 h over 800. And we wanted to solve for houses. And then h. Let's solve for h. Same way, we'll just get rid of the other term. S minus 800m is equal to 300h, and then we will just divide by 300. Solving for. Alright, practice problem number 1 is a multiple choice question, which shows the equation P is equal to A times T over 150 correctly when solved for T. A, T is equal to A times 150P. B, T is equal to A times P over 150. C, T is equal to 150 divided by AP. And D, T is equal to 150P divided by A. And number 2, the formula literal equation is y equals mx plus b, and I want you to solve for m. Pause the video now and complete these 2 practice problems. Alright, let's do them together. First problem, let's solve for t. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this a. It is multiplied here, so I will divide it. P divided by a is equal to t over 150, and it's divided here, so I will multiply. So then we have 150p, 1 times a is a, so t is equal to 150p times a, which means that D is the correct answer. For the next problem, we have y is equal to mx plus b, and we need to solve for m. Right, let's get rid of the b. On either side, y minus b is equal to mx. Now we can divide x on either side, and we have m should equal to y minus b over x. Alright, lastly we have these 4 practice problems. Pause the video now and do your best to solve these ones, and then we'll go over them together. Alright, let's go over the first one, which is P is equal to 2L plus W, and let's solve for L. So I divided and got rid of the 2, so now we just have P over 2 is equal to L plus W. Now we can subtract W on either side. So we basically have P divided by 2 minus W is equal to L. We can also write this as P minus 2W over 2, because the 2 and 2 will cancel out, and we'll just get P divided by 2 minus W is equal to L. Alright, now let's go to the next one. S is equal to 2 pi RH for H. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to divide this by 2 pi r on either side. So then we just have H is equal to S divided by 2 pi r. Alright, number 3, ax plus by plus c is equal to 0. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract ax and c. So it's just we can also write this as negative ax minus c since it's just 0. Alright, now we're solving for y, so let's divide it by b on either side. So you just get y is equal to negative ax minus c over b. And lastly, we have a is equal to 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h, and we're solving for pi. I'm going to factor out some stuff. We just want the pi. Just want pi outside, since pi is in both of this. Now, what needs to be inside this term so that if we multiply it, it'll come out to be 2 pi r squared. We need 2r squared, and we need 2rh. Now, if we were to multiply this, we can see that it'll come back out to these same terms. Now we can just divide this whole thing. So area divided by 2r squared plus 2rh is going to give you pi.
Congratulations! You are now an expert in literal equations. We hope this video really helped, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye!